Hi there, I'm Coco, one of the founders of Incanta. At Incanta, we're breathing life into AI by creating customized personas that enable you to talk to anyone using language models like ChatGPT. I want to demonstrate to you today how you can use one of our personas to talk to a therapist. I personally created this persona after realizing that even though I can no longer afford therapy, I really need the continued help of a therapist. It's important to remember that you're not talking to an actual person when you talk to one of our personas. However, these personas are modeled after actual people. And so it can feel as though you are talking to a real person. So with that being said, remember that we're not providing medical advice. This is not an actual therapist. However, it is a tool that can be very useful. I found it very useful for myself. So first of all, let's head over to ChatGPT and I'll show you how this tool can work. This is our therapist persona, which we call therapist Thea. It's an empathetic psychotherapist specializing in individual therapy for trauma and mood disorders. I mentioned that I've personally used this therapist. I've used it in multiple situations. And what's great about this persona is that it not only will talk to you and provide a sounding board and a listening ear for your concerns, but it'll also provide you actionable steps that you can take to resolve difficult situations. So I'm going to actually walk you through a situation that I successfully addressed using this therapist. And so I'll share with you how it can work. So first of all, I'm just going to mention to the therapist, I'm going to say hi there, and I'm going to talk about a situation that I actually I went through. I've already had this conversation, but for the sake of this demonstration, I'll go through it again. I'm just going to say yesterday I was in a class, and the instructor kept forgetting my name. When I made a mistake, they made me feel belittled because they implied that I had been wasting time the night before instead of sleeping. Can you help me process my feelings about this situation? So this is a very simple example. I'm sure that we all have things in our everyday life where we might feel like it's not a big enough deal to bring up to someone. Maybe we're embarrassed. Maybe we just literally don't have access to a therapist for financial reasons or other reasons. And so that I cannot emphasize enough how powerful and impactful I think that this persona is. So without further ado, let's see what they say. So first of all, the therapist persona is going to identify your feelings. It sounds like you're feeling disrespected and possibly embarrassed. And it says that it can be really unsettling. And so it gives you some reasons why you might be feeling that way. And so I love how this therapist persona makes you feel validated. It also asks you questions, and it's also going to give you opportunity to explore more about your feelings around the situation, so that not only do you solve the situation at hand, but long term, you can work on yourself as well. And so let's see would you like to discuss strategies for dealing with similar situations in the future, or would you prefer to focus more on understanding and managing your emotional responses to this incident? I would say, I would like to focus on this incident. I have to go back to the class today. How do you think I can handle this situation? And so the therapist is going to both help you to deal with the situation at hand as well as prepare for future situations. So what I usually like to do is first deal with the current situation, especially if I'm in the middle of it, figure out what my next steps are. But then the other thing is it's always good to go back or after you think about that to think about the feelings behind it and kind of have an approach for the future. I love this. So self-affirmation, remind yourself of your worth and capabilities, irrespective of what happened. This is so important. Set emotional boundaries. Remind yourself that the instructor's comments are not a reflection of your values or abilities, of your value or abilities. Response preparation. Speaking up for yourself, being assertive. And if you feel like it's going to continue to ask you questions, but for me, I remember when I went through this situation, being assertive is something that I struggle with. So I remember that I would like ask more about that. So I'd say, can you help me to be more assertive? Yeah, so it says developing assertiveness is a valuable skill that can enhance your interactions and help you feel more empowered. And so, as it's giving us this kind of list of recommendations for how to be more assertive, which is immensely helpful, I just want to call out that when I went through this situation, I mentioned that this is something that actually happened to me. And when I went through this, I implemented the advice, this particular advice about being more assertive, having clear communication, especially. Actually, I asked ChatGPT, we can go through that as well, but I asked them to give me a specific strategy for how can I go and have a conversation with the instructor about what happened, being respectful of them and myself. I cannot tell you how difficult this was for me to have this conversation, but I can guarantee to you that I would not have had it if it wasn't for the help of the ChatGPT therapist persona. It really empowered me to go and have this really important conversation that was wildly successful. I was completely able to repair the relationship with the instructor, successfully finish the class. And I felt better too because I stood up for myself and I was assertive. The instructor, in fact, didn't even realize that anything had happened, which I think is a lot of times is the case. Like when we're dealing with relationship problems of various kinds, either the other person isn't aware of our feelings, or they just they not that they don't care, but like they they just don't realize like the impact that they've had on us. And so when we don't communicate those things, it's not going to get any better. So that's why I love that ChatGPT, this persona, was able to empower me to have that important conversation. So let me just finalize by giving you an example of like how it can actually help you to make a plan for addressing these situations in real life. So can you help me make a plan for communicating my feelings and concerns to the instructor? So break it down into steps. Absolutely. First of all, understand, it says identify your feelings and concerns. Understand like specifically what your issue is and what your feelings are before you try to communicate them to someone else. Choose the right time and place. I chose a private time to have this conversation before the class started. Plan your points, use I statements. This is like, these are best practices that if you have an actual therapist, this is exactly, speaking from my experience, this is exactly what they would say. Again, I modeled this based on my experiences in therapy. I modeled this GPT or this persona after those experiences. And I made this GPT for myself. So you can trust me when I say that it works, at least for me. And I hope that you'll try it. And let me know what you think. So I'm going to include the link below, and you can also go to our website at incanta.me, where you're going to be able to find all of our personas that we have available. We have a huge library that's always growing. So you can visit our website, and I hope you'll follow us and stay informed and join us on this journey to breathing life into AI. Thank you.